So the team are here today to discuss 5 limiting beliefs that occur when we get to this time of the year. So when it's getting a little bit colder outside, a little bit darker, it's not as comfortable getting up and going to the gym or even going for those morning or evening walks to get the steps in. So I thought we'd come up with a few different subjects here and fire them at the team. And then I'm looking forward to hearing what your responses are. So number one, it's too dark and it's too cold to get up in the morning and get your exercise in.
So I feel like a big one here is, especially for people, for people who train at the gym, your gym is going to be heated. So, like you've got to do is get through that little window of time to get to the gym. Like that's all, you'll be fine. But I think being connected with your why of why the training is important to you is really vital there. Because if you have a powerful reason why you need to be doing this, then that should be helping you to then get through with it. So just, I think anything you can do to make the environment more conducive to getting started, whether that's having things in the morning or whether it's having your heating switched on already so that it's not too cold when you get started, whether it's allowing an extra 10 minutes to walk on the treadmill before your workout so you feel a little warmer before you get started. Have an experiment with things that work for you physically. But I think the biggest thing, honestly, is connecting with that why, because at the end of the day, winter's going to come every single year. Like if you especially in the UK, like I'm new to the UK, so it's my first, last year was my first experience of UK winter. And if you're going to go through 6 to 8 months where it is cool and there are extended nighttime hours and, you're having to deal with that, that's a big chunk of your year to lose if you're allowing it to derail you.
Yeah, look, I think for me, I was training last year in the winter in the garden and literally having to scrape ice off my bench to be able to exercise. But again, it just came back to the discipline and the reason why that I needed to do that, to be able to have that desire and that drive to make it happen. So I think that's really, really crucial. How about people so I think the second limiting belief that we want to cover here is, how about people that just struggle to get up in the morning because it's dark or because it is colder, to just get out of bed?
Yeah, I think what Stacey said there, thinking about your why is really important because it's going to drive everything else that you do. I'll give you 3 quick tips. So having your alarm across the other side of the room, so you have to get out of bed. Having a Lumi lamp that lights up gradually and is extremely bright in the morning, so you kind of have to wake up. And then getting your clothes ready, prepared, ready to go, get out the door, and that's it.
One mistake that I made with my Lumi lamp is I also wear an eye mask to bed. So it's a good job. It was just like peeking through and the light was just coming through the underneath of it. But no, 100%. The Lumi lamp's like so good because you can put it on night mode as well. So when you're reading your book, you haven't got really bright light in the room. So no, they're all valid tips. Just one from me then. So I think this is the third one that I hear is getting ill because it's cold outside. So that being the reason not to go for your walks, not to go and exercise, or again, to avoid getting up and getting in the car and going to the gym. So just to cover that, like seriously, that's probably one of the most old school Indian mentality sort of thoughts around, the cold. And it's akin to, you shouldn't exercise until you're like 16 or 17 or 18. I got told that you're not meant to do any like weightlifting or training until you're 18. I was training when I was 15 and it didn't really impact me too much. Maybe I would have been 6'4" if I'd taken that advice, but unfortunately I only made it to 6 foot. But no, it's just one of those things, like wrap up warm. If you're going to go outside for a walk, wrap up warm, put your raincoat on, cover yourself up, you'll be fine. And it's just a case of actually getting a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. And I think we all need to do that. Just get a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, because that's going to take you away from the position of pain that you currently sit in and move you towards the position of gain that you're trying to achieve.
I think that's pretty consistent across all of these, is just that, there's a small amount of short-term discomfort to try and avoid extreme long-term discomfort. And I think you've got to try and keep that in mind as well. Like what's worse, having all of these health-related issues for the remaining, 30 plus years of your life, or being chilly for 2 minutes while you get out of bed.
100%. I think this is where like the habits and the discipline, like this is the time to form it when it's the most uncomfortable. Because when it gets to spring and summer next year, you'll be laughing because it's just part and parcel of who you are. It's your second nature to do these things. So get uncomfortable at this time of the year, and then allow that to help you build momentum towards the bigger goal. Another limiting belief, and I'm going to kind of laugh at this one, but not being able to have cold foods when it's cold outside. So I think the examples were not wanting to have a smoothie in the morning, or not wanting to have a yogurt as a snack because it's too cold.
I think this is one of those ones that is sort of potentially a little bit uncomfortable, consuming cold things when it's cold, or not as, enjoyable as having nice warm things. But there's no going to be negative effect of having cold things, other than potentially that slight little bit of discomfort, which people should probably just learn to get over. But then the other side would be just find warm alternatives. If you don't want to have something cold, find an alternative that's got, a similar taste, texture, macronutrient, whatever you're looking to achieve out of it, and just have a warm version, or have the cold versions at the nicest time of a cold day, and it's going to have less of an impact.
Protein hot chocolate. Simple. There's a really nice protein hot chocolate recipe. I'm going to need to find that now. I always say about these amazing recipes like protein pancakes, and then I can never find where I actually saw the original recipe. But no, 100%, there's always an alternative. We don't need to force ourselves to eat cold foods, but at the same time, if you're sitting in a warm house, you should be all right. I shouldn't be laughing, should I? But anyway, look, busy periods, because we are leading up towards a really busy time of the year. I know we've got Diwali coming up, we've got Christmas coming up. So yeah, Josie, what do you reckon about that at this point of the year being potential limiting factor to achieving long-term results?
Yeah, I mean, lots of people are quite busy and working towards sort of end of year deadlines. And I think one of the things would be to plan in advance what events you've got. So like you say, with Diwali, with Christmas, any other social events. And then the other thing that we also talk about is minimal versus maximal weeks. So have those weeks where, you map out your week earlier on. What can you achieve for that week? If it's a busy week, maybe you get in 2 workouts rather than 4. And then on like easier weeks, you get in your 4 workouts. So you're always still building on those habits you've learned and just adjusting based on how busy period it is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the minimum ones, like we always say, still move you forwards, and not falling into that trap of perfectionism and the all or nothing mentality that we're trying to avoid. But no, 100%. I think these are all good points, solid points. So if anyone's even thinking about using these as excuses coming into this time of the year, now you've got an absolute reason not to. Again, if you're struggling, reach out, ask the questions, but just know that there's always a solution. But thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you, team. And until next week, have a powerful one.